Welcome to Marketing Tales with Chris Raposo, a podcast created to spotlight and highlight marketers, tell their stories, and share their knowledge with those interested in all things marketing. If you're interested in more than just the cut and dry strategies and tactics and want to learn more about the human side of his guests and how they got to where they are today, then this show is for you.
So how do you measure success of a direct mailing campaign? What metrics do you consider?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things you can do to really measure that. And a lot of it comes down to the design of your card, right? If you're paying for some type of service that you can do call tracking with, put that phone number there and track those calls from that postcard. You can do QR, code scans and stuff. You can track those. So those are two major ones there. And then, whenever people call and a brand new customer calls in or emails in, just ask them the question, how'd you hear about us? You'll be, that's a good way to tell if it was your postcard or if you got a, radio ad going out there or whatever, it's a good way for you to know that your marketing dollars are actually going towards something and that it's actually working. So, but the reality is though, and I have to be open and honest about it, right? But not every postcard you send out is going to have a great return on it. It's part of that repetition of, being consistent, just like, people talk about with social media, with the algorithms and everything. I mean, you got to be consistent with it. If you send out one postcard and expect it to just change your business, it's not going to work.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Tales Show with Chris Raposo. Today, my guest joins me all the way from the Lone Star State. Dylon Jones, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Dylon, I did a little bit of research on you on LinkedIn. I've been following you for a while because I met you at the AMA Symposium last November, and I was impressed with you just as a straight-up cool guy and also as a professional, seeing you on LinkedIn and your activities there. So I have a lot of respect for you. So thanks for being on the show. So you have a business degree with an emphasis on marketing from Lubbock Christian University, and you currently work at PPS, a direct mailing and printing service company. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, your educational journey, your professional journey, and how you ended up at PPS?
Yeah. So right out of high school, I actually didn't go straight into college. I really didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily. So, my parents gave me two options. It was either go to college or go work with my stepdad at an electric company. So I chose the electric company, and it was brutal work for several years and, wear and tear on your body for a while, and really made me rethink the college aspect. So chose college after all. Anyways, I chose to kind of do just a general business degree. Didn't know necessarily what I wanted to go into, but as I started taking some different classes, that's where I kind of realized, the marketing side of things was where I was really kind of drawn to. I really liked a lot of the different classes I took over that. So that's kind of where I chose that emphasis. I had a little bit of an emphasis on graphic design as well. That's just something I've always kind of done as a side hobby, drawing and doing different things online and everything. So, so I work at PPS now. So we are a design, print, and mail company. So we're a full service, one-stop shop. So we take it from, concept creation, if you need help designing your piece or anything like that, we'll help you along the way. We'll come up with your marketing plan for you, and kind of help implement it. And I'll kind of go into a little bit more, later as well, but we do have a kind of a digital side to our business as well. So we'll kind of get into that later though.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. I worked in blue collar as well. I was a concrete finisher for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Same story, super brutal work. I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. And then I just turned it around, and went a little bit more white collar.
Yep.
But yeah, let's talk about direct mail a little bit on this episode, because that's something you specialize in your work with PPS. A lot of people may say direct mail is dead. And it's either because it may not apply to their business or they don't know how to do it and they don't want to admit it. So how do you compare the effectiveness of direct mail to other forms of marketing like digital or broadcast?
Well, there's a lot of stats out there that you can kind of pull up and everything. The stat that I usually tell people is 56% of consumers, have openly said that they've tried a new business because they received a direct mail piece in the mail. And then 70% of consumers said that they renewed business with a business after they've received direct mail. But the whole thing with comparing it to the digital age and everything, right? The direct mail is dead, saying and everything. You're probably right. A lot of people probably just don't know how to do it, or they think it's going to cost too much, or they just think, well, social media is free, so why do I want to pay for marketing in general? Why not just post on my Facebook page or anything like that? So I'd like to kind of, I always tell people, to think about like their favorite, brand that they shop with or something, like for girls, it's usually Ulta, right? And I ask them, okay, well, have you ever got anything in the mail from them? And of course they have. And so, if those big, corporations and, businesses are doing it, then it's probably not a waste of time, not a waste of money. So there's definitely something working there.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially have like a nice creative or nice pictures on it that
Yeah.
entice that person, that speaks to their psychographic. For me, for example, every once in a while I get myself a Vineyard Wine shirt. And when I
Mhm.
get their direct mail or their catalog, it screams summer, right? It
Yep.
screams like clean and nice and comfortable. So it speaks to me. That's one piece I don't throw away right away. So if you do
Yeah.
it right, it'll work in your favor. Just got to know your audience and what they enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So in an era where digital marketing seems to be the go-to strategy, like you just mentioned, we just mentioned, why should businesses still consider using direct mail?
Well, it's this kind of is the same for every business, right? But I mean, what my boss tells me as a sales rep and everything, it takes, you're going to be told no several times, and it usually takes, about 8 to 12 touches is what we kind of say, for you to actually land that yes from that customer. So that means you're going to have to call on that person. If you're just doing Facebook as your primary marketing, you're going to have to post 8 to 12 times and hope that they see that 8 to 12 posts and everything, and it's not always going to be the case. So that's where we like to take the omni channel approach of marketing, is what we tell people. A lot of our customers, don't give up on your social media, and if you're doing radio or if you're doing commercials, whatever you're doing for your marketing, keep doing those. Just add direct mail as a part of that, because the more touches you have, the better, for sure. Now you kind of mentioned how you like the summer feel and everything. I mean that's a big key piece for any part of your direct mail, and that's kind of where we have our graphic designers on staff. They're very good at what they do. They definitely know what feels welcoming versus kind of disregarding and everything. So that's a huge part of direct mail for sure. Is you don't want to just say, yeah, $125 an hour sounds like a lot, to pay someone to design this. I could just do it myself, on Canva or something. And some people have that eye, but there is benefits of using that professional graphic design work.
Absolutely. And those graphic designers, they have the experience. They did a lot of testing, so they know
Yeah.
what works, they know what doesn't work. And that A/B testing or whatever you want to call it, if you do that on your own on Canva, you may
Yeah,
waste a lot of time and money, and time is money for those people that actually put it in. If
exactly.
I'm the one creating it, it doesn't do anything, that's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my money. So
Yep.
maybe the $125 is well spent there.
Right.
So, but PPS, how many clients do you guys have?
Um, we have, so I'm in the Lubbock location. So we have two locations. We have the one here, and then we have one in Amarillo, Texas, as well. And then we also have a sister company, which is kind of more the commercial side printing of our business. But all together, I wish I kind of knew the number exactly. I mean, definitely well over, probably 2,000 clients. And that's not all of them are doing, 10, 12 pieces a year or anything, right? Some of them
Yeah.
are nonprofits that are going to be just doing their, end of the year mailing or something. But we have some clients all over. I met you at the AMA, so the higher education is definitely a big part of what we do. We're here in Lubbock, so that's where Texas Tech University is. Lubbock Christian as well. So we do stuff for both of them in the Panhandle area, West Texas A&M and all that. So we have clients kind of all over the states. So
Yep.
that's the nice part about printing and mailing is, it doesn't matter where it's coming from as long as it gets to the destination. So
100%, man, 100%. So with all those clients, can you share a specific example of a successful direct mailing campaign that you've executed and what made it effective? Maybe if you have a higher ed example, that would be great.
Yeah. So I'll have two examples that I'll kind of go for. The first one is going to be just a nonprofit that we worked with recently. And I want to share her story just because, she was very open about basically just saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. We're struggling, we need help kind of thing. And so she was very scared going into it. She kept talking about how small her budget was, I don't have very much money to spend a month, on doing these, but I know I need to. So her name's Sharon. So she's the executive director at Christian Job Corps in Abilene, Texas. And so, she basically being at a small nonprofit, right? You're wearing many hats. You're being stretched thin. So the marketing side of things is where she was kind of, not fulfilling, her role in that part and everything. So we sat down with her, kind of came up with a whole plan. She told us her budget, and so we were like, okay, well, this is what you can do for that dollar amount, right? And it was, doing different things like yard signs, some postcards and some bookmarks to hand out to different people. So we kind of put all that together. I went actually and kind of delivered those and kind of helped her set up some of those yard signs and everything as well. Just, kind of, I know the Abilene area pretty well. So I was kind of telling her, hey, maybe this area would be a good one to target this because they were doing a big Abilene Gives event. So it was all the nonprofits, right? Trying to get donations. And so but after our, run on this whole campaign and everything, she actually tripled her monthly budget with us because of how much money she brought in from that. And so she was able to put funds, where they needed to go first. But then on top of that, now she's, sending out way more postcards than she probably ever would have thought she could. So, and then going back to, like you said, the higher ed example, again, Texas Tech, they're by far our biggest client, especially being here in Lubbock. We do a ton of stuff for the admissions department. And so, any admissions, you went to Florida, as I can see, behind you and stuff. I'm sure whenever you were in high school or whenever you were thinking about going there, I'm sure you got tons of mail from them. And so that's kind of the joy of the higher ed is, you're getting to be a part of all these, young kids' journey into choosing where they want to go and everything. But I'll just read you. So her name is Jamie Hainsward. Mm-hmm. She's the executive director at Texas Tech University. This is a review that she kind of gave us, but she said, for years, PPS has been a trusted partner for handling our mailing to prospective students. Their accuracy and dependability has contributed to our success and helped us enroll the largest freshman class in Texas Tech history. So, there's that part of, we were able to be part of that journey in, helping Tech grow as big as they are and continuing to grow. I think that was actually written 2 years ago. And I met with Jamie a couple of days ago, and she said, yeah, our numbers have like doubled since then. So we're in the middle of freshman orientations and stuff right now. So I mean, our printers are going nonstop on stuff right now. So it's awesome. A lot of fun to deal with that.
Yeah, that's the power of knowing your audience, and finding the right people. For like you said, I received a lot of mail from the University of Florida, but I lived in Tampa. It's 2 hours away from Gainesville. Yeah. But they had a newly minted University of Florida online program. And I always wanted to go to Florida, but I never thought about leaving Tampa to go to Gainesville to study full-time. Had 2 kids, had a full-time job. But when they sent me a direct mail piece, it was a magnet that said the Gator Nation is everywhere. So I popped it on my fridge and I have it still to this day, 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
And that prompted me to look into UF Online, which I ultimately enrolled in and graduated from. So that little piece of mail, that did work.
Yeah.
100%. And I also like the example you gave from the person from the nonprofit. What's her name again?
Sharon. So
Sharon, that humility that she showed
yeah.
to open herself up, to show her fears and her worries about what she knew she needed to do, but the
hmm
budget she had, that prompted you guys to give her a personalized experience to tailor your work to her budget, and then you went out there and helped her with putting those yard signs up. That's
Yeah.
happen if somebody comes rolling in acting like they know everything, then you're like, okay, you know your stuff, so I don't need to help you. But if you have somebody that comes in and tells you transparently that they don't know what they're doing and they're having
hmm
a hard time figuring out how to promote their business, but they need help, you're more willing to help them, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we love working with, especially the nonprofit era, just because there's so many of them, and so they're competing against tons of other nonprofits, especially whenever you have an event like they were going up against, and she told me going into it, that their experience with that Abilene Gives program, that they would send out a postcard or something, that she would kind of, make herself on Canva and everything, and she just never really saw any return from it. And so, the fact that we were able to get her such a big return this year, it was super cool to see. So
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
How does personalization play a role in direct mail campaigns, and what benefits does it offer over generic mailing? Is there more to it than just putting the first name on a mail piece?
Yeah, there definitely is. The thing that I like to talk about with a lot of people that we do stuff with, that that when they come to me and they say, we're really struggling, we're sending out these postcards, they have a good offer on them, but no one's actually taking us up on the offer or something. We kind of throw in that option there of making it more personalized, doing variable data, and so people don't realize that you can, whenever we're printing a large run of postcards, right, we can put that variable data on there. And, instead of, it just having, their first and last name on the address, line and everything real small, put it on the front of your card, say, hey, hey, Chris, put it big up there where that it'll actually catch their attention and be like, hey, this business knows who I am. It kind of gives that, people always say, we like to do business with people, not businesses, right? And that's kind of gives that feeling, like hey, they actually know my name, they took time to do that. And the reality is as people that don't work in the print industry or the mail industry, they probably think that card cost a whole lot more, right? Putting their name on it like that than just a generic postcard. When in reality, I mean, variable data, yeah, there is a little bit of extra fees in there, but it's. I mean, we're talking pennies and dimes. It's not extra dollars that you're spending on your campaign. So
Yeah, 100%. You know what what's the biggest turnoff for me is when I get a piece of direct mail? It's when somebody puts to Chris Raposo / or current resident. That
yeah.
tells me right away, man, like they don't care about me. So that ends up in the
Yeah,
trash.
that's just the junk mail, right? That's the feeling of that and everything. So, there's a lot of things that printers or I guess mailing companies can actually do to really make your piece look a little bit more personalized and stuff. Then we're pretty lucky where we're located. So we're located downtown Lubbock, right across from the post office. So we can push our deadline of delivering the mail over there to hit our deadline and everything pretty close, because it's literally a 2-second drive right there.
Yeah.
But the benefit is that we can go over there and ask them questions all the time and say, hey, these people really don't like the barcode being, right here. It looks like it's going to be junk mail or something. Where can we put that and try to hide it, kind of thing. And there's ways to do that. A lot of people just don't know that there's ways to do that, or they don't care about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you measure success of a direct mailing campaign? Or what metrics do you consider?
yeah, so there's a lot of different things you can do to really measure that. And a lot of it comes down to the design of your card, right? If you're paying for some type of service that you can do call tracking with, put that phone number there and track those calls from that postcard. You can do QR, code scans and stuff. You can track those. So those are two major ones there. And then, whenever people call and a brand new customer calls in or emails in, just ask them the question, how'd you hear about us? And you'll be, that's a good way to tell if it was your postcard or if you got a, radio ad going out there or whatever, it's a good way for you to know that your marketing dollars are actually going towards something and that it's actually working. So, but the reality is though, and I have to be open and honest about it, right? But not every postcard you send out is going to have a great return on it. It's part of that repetition of, being consistent, just like, people talk about with social media, with the algorithms and everything. I mean, you got to be consistent with it. If you send out one postcard and expect it to just change your business, it's not going to work, So.
Yeah, consistency is key, and you touched on the different touch points at 12 touch points earlier. So,
yeah,
like you said, you can't just send out one mailing campaign and expect a miracle to happen. That doesn't work like that. So we talked about a bit of budgeting, ROI. In terms of cost effectiveness, how does direct mail compare to other marketing channels? And let's just leave out the organic stuff on social. Let's talk about, Google ads, Facebook ads, what have you.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of depends, right? What your budget is, what you're willing to pay for. Facebook ads, Google ads, all that, those can be pretty, pretty cheap when you're really thinking about it. But the thing that we always, like to tell people is, how well are you actually hitting your target audience with those? Are you actually hitting the people you want to hit? And that's where I think the cost effectiveness of direct mail comes in handy. There's several options out there for you. If you want to do a targeted mail list, we can find that list for you. And I always like to give this example because it's a list that I had to pull for this guy, but it was a dog grooming business, and he wanted to target, people with a certain household income in a certain neighborhood, but he also wanted to know if I could target, if I knew if they had animals in the house or not. I didn't know if I could pull that list or not, but talking with our list provider and everything, PetSmart actually has that built into their system where it's public knowledge and everything, where if you go in and you buy a can of dog food or, a can of cat food, they know if you have a cat or a dog. And so, they put that information out there. So, there's really specific ways you can target those people. Of course, that does come with a cost of purchasing that targeted list and everything. But the other cheap option is just doing a, EDDM, which is just a every door direct mail piece. And, so if a certain, neighborhood you want to hit, just hit every single house.
Okay.
It's cheap that way. So,
yeah. That's a good example with the pet example you just gave. I read a case study once in a marketing book, and it was about a chimney sweep who went from house to house, and every time this chimney sweep serviced a customer, and if they had a cat or a dog, he asked the customer if he could take a picture of that cat and dog. And then in his follow-up message, his retargeting campaign, he put the picture of that pet on that mailing piece, and everybody loves their animals, right? So if they see it, they're going to keep that. They're going to keep that card and put it on their fridge. So you're always going to be there. So it's one funny way to do stuff like that, to speak to the psychology of people and not have your mailing piece end up in the trash.
Yeah, it's just finding a way to be different, right? I mean, there's so many people doing the same thing. Find your unique way. That's a pretty cool way to do it. Take a picture of their animal, as long as they're okay with it.
Yeah, so, exactly. So how does direct mail allow a business to reach different demographics that other forms of marketing might not effectively reach?
Yeah, so I mean, you go to like radio ads or commercials, right? Not everybody's going to be watching that channel or listening to that radio station. Same with social media, right? Not everybody has social media. My parents are very against it. They're very old school mindset, and they don't like it. They don't touch it. So you're not going to be able to. My stepdad's real big into racing, right? So if you're, selling, racing car parts or different things of that nature, you're not going to be able to target him on, by putting out a social media ad or a paid ad or anything. You're going to have to hit him with direct mail, but how do you know that he actually is into that? You got to be able to find that information somehow. So.
Awesome, man. So how can direct mail contribute to building and maintaining strong customer relationships? I gave that example of taking a picture of somebody's dog and then retargeting them with that card.
Yeah, so I mean, it's exactly like what we said. Just make it personal. Find that way that you can be unique and stand out from the crowd. The big one that we kind of have to really think about how we help these different roofing companies and stuff design their cards, right? Is when a big hailstorm hits, all of a sudden you got 10 postcards in the mail from all these different roofing companies because your house got hit hard. So why are they going to choose your postcard over anybody else's? It comes down to the design of the card. Is it inviting? Is it not? And what's your offer? Or it could be, is it personal? Does it have my name on the front? Does it have a picture of my dog, on the card and everything? Find that way to be unique. So
yeah, and if you can build relationships with your customers, right? That's what wins in the end. It's like we do it on LinkedIn. When you get a cold email from a message from somebody trying to pitch you, that's not going to work. But if I have a guy like you that I have built a relationship with over time, I'm more open to your offerings there.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a good way to definitely do it is on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever. That's something I really try to work with my customers is as soon as I do a job for somebody, right, I try to make sure and I can find them on LinkedIn and add them or something so that Facebook's a good way for me personally just because that's kind of more my channel where I do more of my personal stuff. So it gives them that feeling again where they're doing business with a person, not just a business, right? I get texts or calls from some of my customers saying, it looks like, you and your family had a lot of fun, at that parade, for the 4th of July or something, little relationships like that you can kind of help build, through social media or anything like that. So.
Yeah, it builds that relatability and that relatability builds that trust,
Yep.
You like me, I like you. So I want to go with you. And somebody I'm like, oh, this is not my cup of tea, So that's how it works. So these direct mail pieces, they go to somebody's house, and some people may think, it may be a little bit intrusive. Businesses use direct mail in a way that provides value to the recipients, changing that perspective of that intrusion to come into your house.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to the roofing thing, right? I mean, I'm one to do the same thing, right? If I get like a bunch of postcards in the mail from, some company that I know nothing about, and like you said, it has, my name / or current resident on it, something like that, right? It definitely feels intrusive. And it's like, man, they don't even know who I am. They don't even know if I live here. Why do I want to do business with them, right? A lot of that just comes down to what's your offer on the card. Make sure that they are actually getting some sort of benefit from that mail piece being in their mailbox. Don't just let it be an advertisement for you just saying, hey, we're ABC company that does XYZ, right? Put an offer on there, give a discount or something, bring this card in, to get half off your first purchase or something, if you're a retail store or something. And then going back to the personalization, you can try to make it more personal so it feels less intrusive. The images you choose to put on the card can help with that as well. So lots of ways to push away that stereotype of it being intrusive, but the reality is there are always going to be those people that are going to be irritated with your postcard hitting the mailbox. So when you get those people, just take them off your mailing list and move on. So
exactly. So do they call you, or how can you take them off the mailing list? Do they say, hey, I don't want your stuff anymore, or how can they unsubscribe from that mailer?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways that you could definitely do. There's nicer ways. You could definitely call and leave a pretty bad message towards that business or something. But that's probably the best way, is just to call and just say, hey, I got this postcard. I'm not in the market for this right now. Can you please take me off your mailing list? Or something of that nature. There's different ways that you can go about that, but send it. Most of your postcards, right, are going to have some sort of contact information, or at least they should. Send in an email or a phone call. Just say, hey, can you please not send those to me anymore? So
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to do that. I've never thought about that, but that just popped into my head as we were speaking.
yeah.
So you clearly know your stuff. I can tell from the conversation that we had. Now, what's one important lesson that you have learned over the course of your career that you can share with the audience when it comes to direct mailing?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what we just hit on, taking care of your clients, treating them like family, building that bond with them. That's a huge thing that can help lead to your success, no matter what business you are. Just really treat your clients like they are part of your family. Add them on social media, add them on LinkedIn, keep up with them. If they post a picture, comment on it, like it or something. Just show them that you're there and that you're there for them, right? Just like what I did with Sharon, working with her budget and everything, but then going the extra mile and driving couple hours over to Abilene to help, put up the yard signs and help with that. Just volunteer work is a good one for my industry, because we do help so many nonprofits. So I don't want to show up to a nonprofit and say, hey, do business with me, and then I don't ever go and help volunteer at that place, that clearly needs the help. So
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Thanks for sharing that. So what are two books, podcasts, or maybe YouTube channel you could recommend to anybody if they want to get a little better, learn a little bit more about direct marketing, or become a better marketer at large? What is something you would recommend?
Yeah, so the number one book that I would recommend you read would be Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it'll lead into several different things you can follow, right? There's the Story Brand social media accounts you can follow that give great advice every day. They do have a podcast called Marketing Made Simple, which actually led into a second book that they wrote. And then they also have a Business Made Simple, which is another podcast and also another book that they wrote. And so that's really the number one. The Building the Story Brand, it really hits on a really good way to actually market your business without feeling intrusive, and making the whole point of it is making sure that your customer is the hero in the story, not you. You're just the guide showing them exactly what they need and how to do it, right? But they're actually the hero of the story. And then the second book, that it's not necessarily that has to do with marketing or anything, but I would recommend reading The Energy Bus by John Gordon. So like I said, it's less of a marketing book, but it's a really good book on like teamwork and just positive energy, keeping that positive energy in your business and at your home and everything. So
Yeah, I read that book actually, The Energy Bus. I really like it.
yeah.
So as we close the episode, Dylon, how can people get in touch with you to connect with you personally or learn about your services?
Yeah, just you can go to our website, pps-mail.net. Go to the contact page, and then you'll see my face there with my phone number and email. You can text or call me anytime. Send me an email, or like I said, follow me on social media. Facebook, Instagram. I even have a TikTok out there where if you want to see some fun little videos of me and my daughter and my wife, and some really cool pieces that we've done here at work, follow me on those and watch the journey. So.
Awesome, man. Dylon, I really appreciate you being here today and sharing all your insights.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
You got it, man. Take care, my friend.